You are now listening to the West Side of Tha Afterparty.com.
Hi, I'm James Lott Jr., producer and host of Extra Connections. Join me every Monday live at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where I bring on people from all walks of life. I will connect you with people, places, things, and ideas. You'll never know who will stop by. That's Extra Connections, every Monday on the West Side of Tha Afterparty Radio. See you at the party.
Connections. Extra Connections. 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 Emotions, healings, arts, culture, politics, science, health, music, acting, dance. Extra connection. Connection. 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 Older, younger, full hunger. Living life, victory, strife. Arts, culture, politics, science. Health, music, acting, dance. 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 Extra connection. Connection. 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 Extra connection. Extra connection. 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 Connections. Extra connections. Connections. Extra connections.
And we are here. It's Monday. It's 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You know what that means? We're connecting. It's Extra Connections. I'm your host, James Lott Jr. And I'm so happy to be here today with you guys. I'm so blessed and glad I'm here. I made it. It's a hot day in Los Angeles, I'll tell you that. And I have a great guest with me. And we follow each other wherever we go. I've been on her show. She's been on my shows. And so I started this show. I had to bring her on. Like, hello. She's right here. So let me tell you who she is a little bit. She's a licensed psychotherapist. She has her Epiphany counseling in San Pedro. I always remember that.
San Pedro, California. Yeah.
Anyway, California.
We have a location in Beverly Hills now as well.
That's right. Beverly Hills. Put that in a second too. Xavier University graduate. Also, Cal State Dominguez Hills graduate too.
Yes.
She has a
yes,
master's.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, see, just like Miss Brittany out there. Bachelor's, master's. She's a talk show creator and host of Epiphany Talk Radio, which I've been on before.
Yes.
It's on yikesradio.com.
Yikesradio.com, yes.
That's right. Tuesday nights, talks to all kinds of people. She's a speaker, trainer, teacher, just my friend, and actually saved my life. Miss Miyume McKinley.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, girl.
How are you?
Good.
I'm excited.
I have to kind of say thank you to everyone out there. Tomorrow is my 1 year anniversary of having Bell's palsy.
Wow.
I didn't realize that
It's been a year?
It's been a year.
Wow.
For those of you guys who don't know me, or who's new to this, a year ago my face went paralyzed on my left side. So tomorrow, if you follow me on social media, you're going to see a lot of posts of me reflecting on my 1 year anniversary, and I actually show the picture of my face paralyzed. It's hard to look at a little bit, but it's very necessary because my whole crusade is about self-care, help, mental health, physical health, and how it can manifest in ways that are not good for you.
Yes.
And so I want to thank my doctors, my friends, Miyume, everybody who just do this whole year has been very interesting for me.
Lots of change.
Lots of change. And my Bell's palsy has been acting up actually the last month or so. It's really interesting, but I'm dealing with it. It's something that's it might be lifelong, it might go away one day forever.
You never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
But it was a year ago tomorrow. I woke up, my face felt weird. I couldn't talk.
Wow.
Come here. I feel so good to be here. I'm so excited to be here.
I was going to say, how do you feel about that when you reflect on it?
And sometimes when I was looking at the pictures and stuff, I was like, that was somebody else. Like, it looks like somebody else. I'm like, I feel bad for him, but it's me. I feel bad for him. Like, wow, your eyes doing that weird thing. You can't talk with your mouth, and my side was totally dead. I'm just looking at it. It was painful at first to look at it. Look back at first, a couple of months ago. But now I'm getting a little more removed from it. I'm like, okay, now I can look at it objectively and go, that was not good.
That was a place in my life.
Yes.
That was a part of my journey. Yeah.
Yes, and that's brought me great things now. I've been doing speaking engagements on self-care, all because my face went paralyzed on one side. So some great things have come out of it. So I kind of look at it now going, wow, that was a year ago that I woke up, my life changed. My life really has gone from before and after, and so it's very, very interesting. But I just want to make sure I say that and thank everybody for the support. Also, some little housekeeping, little church announcements. We are on the Afterparty.radio.com. You know these church announcements. And it's THA Afterparty, and that's on all social media platforms. The Afterparty, not THE, THA, because that's how we do. Because we're A+ here. There we go. There we go.
That's Southern.
Southern. It's very Southern. We're from Dallas. It is Southern. Very Southern. And so then, of course, our show, Extra Connections Show, is on Facebook. And then actually a show after this will be also made into a YouTube video, which is on JLJ Media. And then also podcasted on iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Spreaker.com. So under Extra Connections, make sure wherever you see this, follow, comment, subscribe, like, talk about it. And where can they find you on social media so they can also talk to you?
Yes, so you can find me Epiphany_Miyume, that's a mouthful.
Yes.
So EPIPHANY_ and my first name, which is MIYUME. And I love hearing from listeners and callers and wanting to know what different topics to talk about. And I love James because he really promotes emotional health and mental health. So
I do. That's why I love you. Now, folks, I want to give a shout out to Miss Brittany in the booth, homegirl. And you're feeling better, right? She hurt herself last week, and I was so worried about her. She had a head injury.
Oh, no.
So now she's doing better. We love Brittany. She just turned 25.
Oh.
She's starting her life out there. I released an EP, folks, an EP. So she is working it out there. I love girls who are working for themselves. That's right. I was surrounded by powerful black women today. I love it.
Yes.
I love it. I can't get enough of it. Okay, so Miss Miyume, we're talking about relationships today, folks. Oh, you know what we're talking about? We're talking about relationships. We're talking about you, me, what we do in relationships. And the first thing, just briefly, let's talk about you and your practice. You started your practice how many years ago?
My private practice started, it made, 4 years in July.
Yay.
July makes 4 years. And so we started 4 years ago. It was just myself and maybe like one other person with my one office manager.
Yes.
And now we have 25 clinicians and 2 locations. And so I'm excited. I love all the therapists that work there. Everyone's like, their passion, they really genuinely want to help people. And so
you have 2, do you go to both locations?
I don't have to go to both locations.
Okay.
My person in Beverly Hills. Hi, Marcus. He is
Hi, Marcus.
amazing. He is amazing.
Yes, a lot of driving.
Oh, no. So I see all of my clients either virtually or in the office in San Pedro. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's amazing. It's been a journey.
Yeah, you have.
It's been a learning lesson, and just knowing and providing information so people can take their mental health more seriously is important to me.
Well, I've known you a couple of years now at this point.
Yes.
At least several years at this point. 2 or 3 years at this point.
About 2 or 3 years.
Yes, at this point. The time flies.
Yes.
And so I've seen you grow, and it's really exciting. It's very encouraging to people that if you do what your passion is, what you love, and just work hard at it, things can happen.
When you walk in your passion, it just flows.
I like that. I do. I love that.
When you walk in your purpose, it just flows.
Yes, when you walk in your purpose, exactly. And I'm walking my purpose too, so I understand that one. Have there been any kind of really big challenges for you in the growth spurts? I want people to know that it's not always super easy, but has it been?
Lord, no, it's not
Yes.
easy. It is not.
Yes, not easy at all. So you just wake up and get in the location. I mean, you worked hard for it, obviously.
Oh yes, this has been. I'm so blessed. So I definitely have to thank God. It's been a journey. It's been 4 years of ups and downs and crying. And I was like, why did I do this? I don't even know. Lord, why you keep giving me these Lamborghini dreams with this Honda budget? Like, come on now.
I like that. Yes.
But I will say, in the midst of all of the challenges and frustrations and, questioning yourself, there's always this little door that's just like, well, this wouldn't be happening. It wouldn't be falling into place if you weren't walking in your purpose and if it wasn't meant for you. So I find comfort in that because it's working out.
And it's working out. Keep going. I always say all the time, people will say, well, I don't want to try because what if it doesn't work? And I always say, well, what if it does?
Mm-hmm. But living with the what if. I couldn't, even with me moving to Los Angeles, my dad was like, I don't want you to go to Los Angeles. No. And I'm like, okay, if I'll come to Los Angeles and totally fail and have to catch a bus back to Louisiana, I will get back home and at least I get to say, you know what, I tried it. Wasn't for me. Wasn't my cup of tea. Now I can move on. I couldn't live with the what if factor.
I couldn't either.
So, if you tried it, it's not for you. You can check it off your list. Tried it.
You can.
Move on.
And again, and if it works, then at least you did it and it's working. Yes. Like, I always feel like there's the opposite of always the kind of, well, what if it doesn't work? Well, if it does work, then we're so glad you did it.
Yes, and anything worth having, you have to take risk. I think people are scared of risk.
Yes.
Like, what if I fail? Okay, that's why I love Gary Vee. I don't know if you follow him.
I love Gary Vee. I do.
He always talks about, like, failing is basically, you need to fail in order to grow. And my mentor used to tell me that all the time. She was like, you fail, you good, because you learn what not to do.
Yeah.
And there have been many life lessons, especially in my journey, even in opening my office, things that I messed up bad. And, you learn and you figure it out, and it makes you a stronger person and a stronger individual. So
I always say I took the word failure out of my vocabulary.
I remember you saying this.
I said myself.
Yeah.
I don't say that. To me, there's no such thing as failure because everything is just life. And some things just don't work out the way you may want them to or think you want them to or wish they did. It's just that it didn't work out. But in the end, many times they'll lead you to something that does work out. That you want to do. Like it's just a journey. It's just a journey through. I mean, just say like maybe that wasn't the way I wanted to start something. But usually in the end, you keep going, it kind of works out.
It figures it out. Yeah. I would add to what you're saying that a lot of people start comparing, and that impacts their journey. When they start comparing themselves to other people their age or in their profession or what they should be doing. Well, the such and such looks like over here that things are going smoothly for them. And then they end up quitting or stopping their journey short of your short of what you were supposed to accomplish. So
like, don't do that. Don't compare yourself. That's another thing that's wrong. And now that leads into relationships, because there is this thing. I want to talk about actually some of the things that we do that are not the greatest, because I always find people tell me when I talk to my friends, well, he cheated on me, and so he's all wrong, blah blah, I'm done. And I always say this thing. I go, okay, well, obviously when he cheated on you, that was you didn't make him cheat on you, obviously.
Right. That was a decision.
Right. But I always wonder. But I always reflect though, how was our relationship before that happened? Like, what was leading up to that? Am I truly happy in this relationship? Were we fighting all the time? Like, not trying to justify his stuff at all, but it's like myself looking at myself going, am I really happy in this relationship? I mean, am I more upset because he cheated on me than it probably wasn't a good relationship in the first place? Like, I always wonder about that. People are afraid to look at themselves, right?
Well, it's a hard thing, especially if you're talking about infidelity, and working with couples and things like that. Yeah, there's the aspect of the dishonest act, that, the betrayal, and then there's also the aspect of, which is hard for people to say because they want to say, you cheated, your fault, and definitely their decision to take accountability.
Right.
But there's also, like you say, just taking a step back and what was I doing, if anything, or is there anything that I could have done to contribute to the relationship more? Was I pouring into the relationship as much as I could? And that doesn't justify the person's behavior.
Not at all.
But it's kind of the ability to self-reflect, the ability to take accountability, right? So could the person have came to you and said, hey, I'm not happy? Could the person have came to you and said, this isn't working for me? Absolutely. So it doesn't justify their behavior, but it's easier to blame than to take accountability. I think that's in everyday life too.
That is,
right?
and I want to lead into, even without infidelity, just the relationships start to fall apart.
Right.
I see people, my friends will just consider, well, they did this and they did this and they did this. I'm like, well, but are you really happy? Like, what are you doing? Are you working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And so
There's no time for the relationship.
Right. I mean, I always wonder, people just do all kinds of stuff, don't they, to themselves, and they don't really think about it.
Or depending on how long the relationship was, because it's easy, as years go on, people put the relationship on the back burner. I'll get to it, And I had someone on my show the other day. We were talking about, it's a lady, the title of the book, Kanisha, she wrote a book called Sex After. And, she talked about how, you invest in your career, you research, you go to your internships, you research, you put all of this effort and time in when it comes to your children, you're pouring into them, making sure they get to practice and all this thing. But then when it comes to your own relationship or your own intimacy, what are you doing to pour into that or get to know yourself or invest in yourself? And I think that's the question. That's the question.
And I always say there's different types of intimacy. You can expand on it. There's the emotional intimacy, and then there's also the sexual intimacy, of course.
Right.
But aren't they usually intertwined anyway, kind of?
They're kind of intertwined, yeah, because, people will say that women are more emotional than men. I'm not going to stereotype or anything like that.
I know some emotional men. I know some emotional men. And some distant women. I know both.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
No judgment,
no
stereotypes.
No stereotypes. Yeah, I know both.
Right. But I think they are intertwined. There are people that can be, when you think of intimacy, it's like into the other person, right?
Yes.
You're thinking of the connection. So I agree with you that those things are usually intertwined.
Because, I want to say, you said you had a guest on your show the other day about sex. I think when you're in a relationship for a while, at the beginning, you're sexual and you're rabbits and you're so happy. And after a while, you're just kind of like, well, I have them already, so we'll get to it when we get to it.
We're tired.
Right.
Don't have time.
Right. I've heard that. I'm like, how do you not have time? No.
But also just the discussion of sex stops. When people first start in a relationship, everything's new and everything's fresh. And then we talked about have you talked to your partner about what you like and what you don't like, what you're comfortable? Do you know what's comfortable for you? So that's a whole different discussion. When you talk about intimacy and being able to have those discussions, are you in a relationship where you're not feeling pleased and you use that as an excuse to go get things elsewhere because you're too fearful of having that discussion? Or are you comfortable enough in your relationship to say, hey, like this or don't like this, or do you want to try that? That's all about back to the comfort and intimacy piece as well.
So I always say that also is kind of interesting because I think people... Also, you change when you stay in long-term relationships. You kind of change. You're not the same person at 19 as you are at 30, obviously.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's why I loved her book. And her book was primarily for women, but I think he can go across. She calls it Sex After. So it's sex after marriage, sex after children, sex after menopause, sex after addiction, sex after maybe an illness. She talks about all these different phases in your life. And so I think that's something that everyone can consider in relationships. While you're investing into all these other things, how are you investing into your relationship? How are you investing in your intimacy? Is it an afterthought if the kids are asleep and everybody's out? Then okay, guess we could do it. Or are you actually taking time to think about these things and get to know yourself and what it is that you like or don't like? And
make a date night. I know some people they say make date nights, and my one friend's like, I feel weird, but I said no, schedule it in. If you have to, schedule it in.
And please, because I just was talking to one of my clients, date night is for dating. It's not to do bills. It's not to. No, that's not to. Well, I finally got you. So let me tell you how I really feel. It's not that. It's not for scheduling and organizing. And are you gonna pick up the kids? And this bill needs to be paid. Or we need to go over taxes. That's not what date night is for. Date night is to connect. It's to relearn the person if it's been years and you all. So some people are like, I don't know what to talk about. We're not talking about the kids or the next family event or planning a trip. So good.
That must be hard though. You bring up a good point. I'm like, okay, so we finally got time to go this week. Maybe you were holding some stuff in, so how do you not do that?
Well, this is the thing. If you're holding stuff in, then that means there's not enough time happening through the week to discuss your relationship.
Yep, there you go.
Right? So it shouldn't be date night is the night where I'm going to word vomit everything that's been bothering me for the past 7 weeks. Then date night becomes a stressor and nobody wants to do it. Like
that's
I wouldn't want to do date night if I know this is where everything's being unloaded on me.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely not. So, there should be regular, I would encourage people to have their own kind of check-ins. And, my clients who have healthier relationships now, it's because every once in a while it's just like, are we good? Do you need to tell me anything? Do I need to tell you anything? Just to check in, because if you're good, you're good. No worries. But those types of conversations, if the communication is healthy, those types of things should be happening
continuously all the time.
Yeah. Right time and right place, but you shouldn't be holding everything until the night you all are supposed to be intimate,
I like that.
to now divulge all of these things. Hopefully you would do that before date night if you are holding on to something, so date night can be your time to enjoy each other. So if date night is on Friday, they ticked you off on Monday, it's Wednesday, let's go ahead and have a conversation so that date night can
exactly.
run. Easier said than done, depending on circumstances. But
I like that advice, though. Date night should be something where you're trying to reconnect.
Yes.
In a way that's not external stuff. Like, screw the kids, screw the bills. We love them all and everything.
Random. Just do something fun. Rediscover.
Well, also, it's like you're adults. It's like you should be doing some adult stuff.
Explore. I mean, I was talking to one of my clients the other day, and she was like, yeah, we typically go to dinner, and then you go home, and then you're tired, and you fall asleep. And for some people, that may be the world, right? Because I remember, I had a cousin come visit me, and I'm like, they're coming to LA. I'm like, everybody thinks LA, Hollywood. I'm like, oh Lord, I can plan all this stuff. Half the places I visit, I've never been to until somebody comes.
Exactly. Yeah, same here. We all relate.
And then she was just like, woke up, and I was like, you want to do anything? She was like, this was the best. And I was like, well, she was like, I got to sleep in, no kids bothering me. And I was like, oh, you're easy. This is gonna be fun.
Yes.
I forgot my point in saying all of that. Oh, the point is with date night, there's Groupon, there's Living Social. There are all these things that you can randomly do. Go, you don't have to be extreme and go skydiving, but there's like paddle boat riding and, try some golf or some cooking classes together. Things of that nature. It doesn't have to be dinner and a movie all the time.
Also, in LA, it's because we're in a big city, thank God. But if you're in other cities too, you can look this up. There's things that are free concerts in a park. Free art shows, farmers markets.
Yeah.
That could be a date thing too. You're walking not saying go grocery shopping at the front, but just like try different foods. And they have food trucks sometimes. They have food truck nights in places sometimes too. Go to food truck night. There's a lot of things you can do that are not expensive. The next thing people say, I don't have any money. Well, it's not about being expensive either.
But you can make some sandwiches at home, put them in a picnic basket, and go to a nice park. The point is connecting. I would tell people, create a jar. Each person write all the different things they would like to do, because part of being in love is loving the fact that you could enjoy the things that you probably wouldn't normally do with the other person, right? There's compromise. So get a jar. Each of you put things you would enjoy doing, going to a play, getting a massage, giving each other a massage at home, something more intimate, and put it in a jar, and just every date night randomly pick from the jar.
I like that.
And then
I want to try that. I like that.
And do whatever, and there's no, everybody puts in know your partner. Don't do anything crazy. If they're scared of heights, don't go skydiving.
Or higher balloon riding.
Within reason.
Yes, exactly, within reason.
But that's something you can do to kind of keep it going.
Here's something, you guys, a little tip. Paper Source, which is a chain, has all kinds of paper products, has these little jars they sell with, they call like the wishes or something, and they have little papers that you can write them in there. It wasn't that expensive. I found one of those for my granddaughter. All right, so we're going to take a little break. We're going to hear one of my songs, and so you're going to hear two of my songs tonight. But one day, someone was not calling and texting me back, and I wrote a song about it. So this is Extra Connections here on the Afterparty Radio. We'll be right back.
I just wanna break out. I don't wanna wait for nobody else. I just wanna break out. I don't wanna wait for nobody else. I'm sick and tired of waiting for you. It's not fair what you're putting me through. You seem so nice, but then you flew. I'm sick and tired of feeling blue. I text you, no response. I call you, no response. A week goes by, no response. Then suddenly you appear. You like me, I respond. You text me, I respond. You call me, I respond. I ask you out, then you're gone. I know how it feels, it's not you. I put in the time, and now it's my due. I need someone to say, I choose you. I text you, no response. I call you, no response. A week goes by, no response, and suddenly you appear. You like me, I respond. You text me, I respond. You call me, I respond. I ask you out, then you're gone. sick and tired of waiting for you. It's not fair what you're putting me through. You seem so nice, but then you flew. I'm sick and tired of feeling blue. I know the deal when someone likes you. I know how it feels, it's not you. I put in the time, now it's my due. I need someone to say, I choose you.
And we are back. This is Extra Connections here on Afterparty Radio. I am James Lott Jr., host. Here with Miyume McKinley. She's here with me today. We're going to talk about some of the things that we do. We're just laughing because off camera we're talking about some things we're writing. I just started dating somebody new, and that person actually gave me their phone to show me something with no problem. I loved it. I was like, okay, and I showed I have nothing to hide. I don't have whatever. But I know some people have problems with that. Some folks have it. So that's because that's a big thing now is the phone. It's the computer. It's the laptop. Let's talk about that. Relationships, because that's a big thing for a lot of relationships. They're like, he won't show me his phone, or she won't show me her phone, or she's texting so-and-so. Like, whatever.
Well, what's the reason?
Right.
What's the reason that the phone isn't being shown? I think that's the question.
Yes.
Right. So what's the reason? You know, there are people. There's one thing to just want privacy. You know, everybody wants their little bit of privacy, but what's the reason you're so guarded? What's the reason that we can't, you know? And I think when you are in a relationship and both parties are faithful, I think there's a difference between people bringing past insecurities into current relationships.
That happens,
so there's a difference between the last person cheated on me, or the last couple people weren't honest with their phone, so I need to check your phone, give me your phone, and it's accusatory, right? And you're accusing the person.
Yes.
That's different than, oh, can I use your phone to call so-and-so, my phone is dead. And then the person being all protective, or this.
Right. Yes.
All the time, you know.
Right. I've seen that. My phone's always up. I don't care. Like, I'm not hiding nothing. My daughter's on my phone. It's a picture of my phone. I'm not hiding anything. I mean, but I think I would get defensive if someone accused me of something. I'd be like, well, no, you can't look at my phone if you're going to accuse me. But I'm like, if you just want to see my phone for something, I have no problem giving it to you because I'm not hiding anything. I think it's the approach.
It's the approach, and I think it's the delivery and the transparency and having that communication of, I was hurt in past relationships. Sometimes phones are a trigger for me. You know, if I ask, you know, say, can I see your phone? It's because I'm building, you know, I'm trying to build that trust, and this is very difficult for me. And having that communication, so it's like, oh, I'm feeling uneasy right now. You know, can I? I mean, that should not be a long-term thing. You know, there may be some debate if people think that's healthy or not. But if I'm coming to you with, this is my trigger because of what I've been through, I'm working really hard to not bring that into this relationship. I'm feeling uneasy right now. Your phone rang at midnight the last 3 nights. You know, can you reassure me?
Okay, so
you understand what I'm saying? So this is a conversation where I'm being honest about, versus people who don't acknowledge, hence maybe the person the comments I got on my post, where you're unaware of the baggage you're bringing. You're just dropping the bags everywhere, and the person is left to kind of pick up the pieces. That would make it more difficult.
Okay, so you treat it like any other trigger you may have. Where you're like, well, when I go to a sushi place, that bothers me because my last relationship, I got broken up in a like. So any kind of trigger, you should just talk about it.
Talk about it, right? And that shouldn't be ongoing. Like if we're a year and a half in and I haven't done anything, and you haven't found anything, and we're still talking about triggers, then there may be some wounds, some emotional wounds that person needs to work on themselves to heal, because it shouldn't be an ongoing thing. Same thing with affairs, right? When people have affairs and they decide to stay together, there are some things that you may have to do to help, you know, the trust in relationship, but it's both parties. So this the person who is cheated on, is their responsibility to try to self-regulate, and if they hear a song or you pass by the restaurant they were at, to be able to say, you know, I'm having a moment.
Right. I'm having a moment.
Or self-regulate,
yeah, exactly.
or, you know, but it needs to be, and then the person being understanding that person is going to have moments because you stepped outside of the relationship, and so everybody working as a team together. But the phone is a touchy subject.
It is. Yes, that's why I bring it up, because it said we live on our phones. I live on my phone. I I do put the phone down many times, and there's times when I'm with my grandkids, I don't get on the phone. I'm with them alone, but a phone thing I noticed in a lot of relationships, it's very much a thing. Also, social media. I have people that I dated later on recently were like, well, now I got to announce we're together. I'm like, well, I don't really care. Like, that's not something. I mean, they'll see pictures of us together at some point, but like, they will make a big announcement that, you know, we're together, and I'm like, I'm old school. I never even saw it before until like, recently, where I was dating some people who were a little younger than me, who that's what they do. That's the thing they say do. And so there's also, and I want to see your social media, and And how do you feel about passwords and stuff? How do you feel about all that? As a therapist, how do you feel about that?
I think to each his own. I think if it's causing conflict in a relationship, if there's a constant, it's kind of going back to the phone. Like if I'm consistently needing to check your phone, and the other person isn't doing anything, then it's kind of like, what's going on with you? Where's your security? What's triggering you? There have to be some talk, because if the other person isn't doing anything, there's no evidence, then maybe you need to do some self-assessment of yourself of why you have the urge to check the phone, or why do you need the password all the time?
Yeah, that's true. I know. It's hard, and we're saying this we're not saying like this is easy.
It's hard. Mm-hmm.
It's hard to look at yourself, honestly. I mean, to really look at yourself honestly and go, "Wow, I am doing that."
And if you're consistent, if it's a year, 2 years in, since the mistake the person made, or since the beginning of the relationship, and you're still feeling the urge to check the phone,
I know.
Are you happy? Is this a secure relationship?
Yeah.
Are you ready for a relationship? Right? Because that would get exhausting if the person isn't doing anything. That would get exhausting. And that's because I might as well do something. Right. What is the Keisha Cole song? I might as well.
Yeah. I know the song, but yes. Here's the thing. So, is there such a thing as changing your mind? Like, you think you're ready for a relationship, you get in one, you're not really ready. That's possible, right?
Yeah, because people don't talk about the fact that relationships are work.
They are work, that's right.
And it doesn't have to be negative, but you have to consider a whole nother person, right? Or you're selfish. So, yeah, you do have to consider what that person is doing this week. And everybody's relationship is different in terms of what that looks like. But, yeah, you have to. And if you get in the relationship and then there's what are you doing this weekend? Well, I wanted to do this weekend. Well, I really wanted to go with my friends. There's that whole dynamic. So, yeah, there are people who get in relationships and say, I don't think I was really ready for this. But the important thing is to be honest. If you're not ready, have that discussion with your partner and say, going in, I thought I was in a place where I was ready to make a commitment. I'm noticing these selfish tendencies about myself. I'm not wanting to make time, or I'm noticed that I've canceled our plans, and so you don't deserve this. I'm not in a place where I'm sure. I'm sorry. I apologize. Just being honest and having that conversation, because then if there is room for anything to grow later, at least you all ended. You were honest. They walk away knowing that you were honest. You are authentic. They may hate you, but
that's fine.
I hate them, but they were honest, right? Yep. But having that conversation, so that does happen. But that, once again, takes a lot of insight and self-evaluation versus you have people who find reasons to blame the other person for their actions, right? And that's the lack of
accountability. You made me do this. Mm-hmm. You made me upset, so this is why I did blank.
Right. But then it also goes back to people's own idea of what a relationship is and the expectations, because people don't really have those discussions beforehand. No. You're dating and everybody's putting on the best version of themselves, and you may talk a little bit about, ideals or values, whatever. You go to church, I go to church too, cool,
Right, yeah, right.
We're good, right? But when it talks about, when it comes to, how often do you see each other? Does it matter to you if I see you once a week or once a month? Is that okay with you? She said, well,
see, I am Mr. I need to be in contact with you, at least some part of you every day. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a text, a FaceTime, phone call, or in person. I mean, I see you every day, but I want to at least hear from you every day. Mm-hmm. That's my deal breaker.
And I was having this discussion with a friend of mine, and they weren't on that page.
Yep, that.
And it was like, I get really busy. I'm always thinking of you. I'm always thinking of the person or whatever. But no, I don't. I'm really bad with texting. I remember meeting someone. They were like, I'm really bad with texting, but I'm gonna try. Cool. Thank you for being upfront. Yeah. Right. That's not gonna work for me.
Yeah, but right, exactly. It takes 5 minutes to text. I don't know if it's 5 seconds to text, but yeah.
And then just accepting people for who they are in the beginning. And I think that people change. People change. Okay, I'll call you. Okay, we can go out once a week, but that's not who they truly are, and that's not what they believe. People revert to what they know. So can you, when you're dating, can you accept the person? And women sometimes are guilty of this. Okay. Some men, I will say, but dating potential, or taking what you see in the 10% and making that the 90%, can be a very dangerous territory. So who that person is presenting, are you okay with who that person is? Or in your mind, you're like, this is okay, but I think I could change this aspect of him or her. This is okay, but, over time, they'll see that I'm a good enough woman or a good enough man, and they'll want to do this one. And that's not realistic.
See, I agree with you. I always now in just regular life, period, I take people for face value a lot of times. Mm-hmm. They are showing you who they are. They're showing you who they are, good, bad, whatever. They're showing it to you. So now I see it, so I get mad less because they're being who they are. I may not like some of the actions they're doing, but then it's up to me to figure out what to do. Mm-hmm. Am I going to accept it? We always say this, you're training people how to treat you.
What is it, your expectations? Because a lot of times
Yeah.
when I'm working with individuals, I'm like, okay, what changed? Because I've heard you describe this person consistently over the last 4 months, and they sounded the exact same person they've been the whole time. At what point did your expectations change? At one point, because I'm not shocked that this happened.
Right,
When
yeah,
I
right,
hear
exactly.
They've been, it sounds like at some point you wanted it to be more.
Yes.
It sounds like, or at some point you were no longer interested in being in the relationship as a romantic relationship. Did you relay that information to the other
That
person?
happens too, where people are like, well, you do, because you're there. You're dating, courting is to learn about them. So you start learning things. You go, okay, well, they're not my cup of tea after a while. But then you don't tell them that, and you kind of keep it going, and they may think you're their cup of tea. So like now it's now the tea is spilling, and then you have a conflict because you start to do things to them that they don't like, and it starts conflicts coming, and then you're getting mad at them, but you're like, you can't get mad, but you don't really like them.
That and it goes back to communication and being honest, because you have people in the beginning give the disclaimer, I'm not ready for a relationship. I'm just letting you know that this, but then they do all of the relationship things, right? And then so the other person is like, well, they said they didn't want one, but something's changing. And then, 5 months in, it's like, well, I thought we were here. Why are you going out with other girls? I told you I wasn't ready for a relationship, right? Or why are you going out with other girls? I told you in the beginning that I'm not ready to be tied down. And it's just like, but you've done X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
So I think that goes back to boundaries. And if a person is being clear with you and they're crossing, you feel like they're acting like being able to say, or girlfriend, being able to say, hey, you told me you weren't ready for a relationship, but you're expecting this, and this. Those are things I do when I'm in a relationship. So it's boundaries, right? Which is hard when you like someone. I'm saying it like it's easy.
Yeah,
because, if I met a Drake lookalike today,
She's like, I'll do whatever. Like, it's all goes out the window.
I would consider, just maybe, I might be the one. No,
okay.
but
She's a hot woman. Come on, folks. She's smart and everything. Yes.
But the point is, it's the expectation, and where are your boundaries, right? So if you like this person, nothing's wrong with that. But if they're being very clear with you that this isn't what they want, where's your energy coming from? Are you trying to get them to, or what are you proving?
Yes.
Which I think a lot of people fall into that category of trying to prove themselves. Let me show you why you should choose me.
Yes.
And I've even had men and women say, well, it's their job to it's their job to prove to me why I should leave everybody else alone.
Oh.
That's been a mentality.
Okay.
Hey, if you're doing your job, which is manipulation, right?
Yes,
then I'd
right.
leave everybody else alone. So there's so many different ways, which is why you having your own boundaries is important. Because if I know what I do, what part of me gets the extra energy in a relationship, and what the part of me that's just a friend, if you say we're friends, cool. This is what you get as my friend.
Right, okay,
right?
okay.
I may not be readily available for dates or phone conversations or whatnot, but this is my expectation in a relationship. So if that person is ready and willing to change that, then you'll see them adjust to or respect to your boundaries. Other than that, you have to ask yourself, why are you engaging in all the behaviors when the person has been clear that that's not what they...
I asked somebody, seriously, we started talking, started kind of dating, but then canceled on our date twice right before the date happened. They disappeared for like a week and a half. Just all of a sudden disappeared. No text. But then came back. Like, hi, I'm back. Okay. And then it was just like, every once in a while I get this kind of phone call at 11 o'clock at night going, what are you doing tomorrow? Well, I'm busy. I'm working tomorrow like most people do. It was just like, so I had to learn how to kind of go, okay, this is not working for me. This may work for other people. Some people don't mind this. For me, my boundary is this doesn't work. You don't just disappear and call when you feel like it, but it doesn't work for me. You're not a bad person. I don't think you're horrible, but just it's me saying, James, no, doesn't work for me. We're done.
But it's important to know what works for you and what doesn't.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of people don't know. So if you don't know what your expectation is, if you don't know your boundary, if you don't know what you expect from a relationship, then you just get shaped and molded to whatever comes along. So it's important for you to recognize, what's important to you, what values, what lines are you not willing to cross, versus just, oh, he treats me well or she treats me well or I'm having fun, let me just see where it goes, and then not having any type of foundation. Be free, be fun. It shouldn't be militant, like I need this, this, and this.
Yeah.
No, but know in your heart, know what it is that you want from a relationship, which is hard because if we go into something else, some people don't have models of what healthy relationships are.
That's a whole nother
Right?
discussion. That's a whole nother discussion.
And, you have reality TV showing you what relationships should be,
Yes.
social media showing you what relationships should be, and all of these things, and most of what's depicted in, television isn't healthy.
The Housewives.
I didn't say
Love
that.
Island. Bachelor. No, let me say this. Okay, for me, it's funny because I completely agree with you. But I've been dating 35 years. I just realized the other day. So I turned 50 like a couple months
You
ago.
are good with numbers. You keep track. You're
I
like
do.
1 year.
I know my numbers. I'm a numbers person. I'm not like Rain Man that way. It's really weird. But I just realized that I've been dating people's lifetimes, 35 years. So I feel like for me, I pay attention enough that I do know at this point what I want and what I don't. Mm-hmm. And also, being a little older, I find that my dating style has changed. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, I feel like I had more time. I just feel like you just have more time. Mm-hmm. Now I feel like, not saying I'm going to die tomorrow or anything like that, but it's like, but I'm 50. I mean, I'm not 25. I'm not 30. Like,
but
I feel
you're more
like
clear on what it is that you want.
But my track is different now. It's just kind of, yes, like, now I can tell you, no, I don't want that. It's okay. I can move on. Where when I was younger, I may play with that for a while. Because I have time. I can get something else later.
You have time and you're unsure.
Right.
You're figuring it out. But I think one thing about you is you've mentioned in your previous shows that you went to therapy. You've done some self-searching.
Oh, yes.
A lot of times people, you repeat what you don't repair.
Yes.
So you have a lot of people who have not taken the time to work on themselves, whether it be the environment that they grew up in, whether it be the unhealthy relationships in the past that they've been in. And so they're carrying old wounds, and the masking is they're okay, or they're moving on, or they got this girl, or they got this guy, or they're working too much, or whatever it may be. And they haven't truly healed. And so they're carrying all of that into their current relationship. So if you haven't taken the time to, and people be like, I'm not crazy, I'm not this, it's not even about that's not why you go to therapy. You go to therapy to have a clearer understanding of whatever it is that may be happening, so that you're not carrying maybe things that you don't know, because we don't know what we don't know, and our family is our family, and we love our family to death, but not everything that was depicted in our households was healthy.
Ooh,
that's the reality of it. So if you can learn what was unhealthy, even some of the subliminals, that's really, really important, because then you can say, okay, this is what I want my marriage to look like, or my relationship. This is what I want my kids to see. But a lot of people aren't taking the time to get to know themselves, so they carry those old wounds into it, and then they're trying to fix current situations and from past wounds that haven't healed. So it didn't work with this person. Even when it comes to people who have daddy issues or mommy issues, if you want to, you're trying to fix. So I have lots of clients who felt like they weren't good enough for their father or for their mother, right? Or felt they weren't good enough just growing up. So now in every relationship, you're trying to prove yourself, because subconsciously, this person needs to see that I'm good enough. This person needs to see my worth. When it's really you haven't really peeled back the layers and realized that none of that had to do with you. That was your fault and healed. So now you know your worth going in. So I don't have to prove anything. Who wants to be in? That's a job.
Yes.
Get into a relationship where you have to prove.
Well, we're going to take a little break, and I'm going to tell you what I used to do in relationships that was kind of crazy talk. This is Extra Connections. Miyume McKinley, James Lott Jr. We'll be right back at Party Radio.
I choose you. 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 In destiny. 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 I believe in destiny. 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 I believe in destiny. 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 Some say it's destiny. Some say it's fate. Some say I'm foolish. I say I'm great. Many say I'm crazy. Many don't believe. Many say I'm crazy because I do believe. Believe, 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 believe. In destiny. hide it. You shouldn't even try. Sometimes you can't hide it. You need to get out and fly. Many say I'm delusional because I believe. Many say I'm unusual because I believe.
I choose you. I choose me. I choose her. I choose all of us. I choose Brittany. I choose everybody. Extra Connections on the Afterparty Radio. I'm James Lott Jr. Miyume McKinley is next to me. And we're talking about relationships, folks. And I'm going to tell you what I used to do years ago. A thing that's also big in relationships is I always call it your identity. When you take something and make it your identity. For example, and I have no problem, I've talked about this on one of the shows before, I have no idea, I was violently attacked and raped years ago. And I was beaten up, left for dead, the whole thing. It was horrible. So after that, after I got therapy for that, I had a great therapist, Sherry Coddington, wherever you are, you're great, for years. Then I started dating. I didn't date for like several years. I couldn't do anything. So I started dating again. I find myself doing this thing where I had to make people prove to me that they loved me. So I did tests. So my identity was, let me tell you about the rape right away on the first date. Like let me tell you all the gruesome details and everything that happened.
So let me see if you're gonna stay.
Yes. I found later that's not good. you shouldn't do that. Like, I mean, eventually, if you talk about your life, it's gonna come up or whatever. But I found for me that I'm like, well, now if we were in a situation where we're going to have sex, then yes, it would come up. We would talk about the triggers. We'd talk about kind of like how things like that. But like, if I'm just having a date with you, I just met you, why am I bringing that up? Oh, so if I tell you this, it scares you off. So people test people, don't they? That's the thing. Yeah. Well, I mean, let's talk about that. I'm glad I stopped doing that a long time ago.
But I mean, it goes back to not being aware of yourself. Right, and what's happening for you, and how maybe things that have happened to you impact your ability to connect in relationships. So people test all the time. People test when they're in relationships. I'm gonna leave the trash right here, and I'm gonna see how many days gonna go by before they actually pick up the trash, and I'm gonna be passive aggressive, and then I'm gonna use it, bam, against you, as opposed to communicating. But yeah, people test because I don't know how you were feeling at that time, but a lot of times clients don't feel that they're worthy of love.
Well, I didn't feel worthy.
Right, and they have low self-esteem, so it's hard you attract what you feel. Yeah. Right, so I don't feel like I'm worthy, so then I question if you're worthy. So then I do all of, if you think I'm worthy, or I don't think I'm
3-month rule. We do this on the first date. We do this on the fourth date. I had rules for everything.
But why do people have rules? What were your rules for?
Protect myself.
Yeah. And that's exactly why people have rules to kind of, this will stop me from getting hurt. Just like I meet people all the time, I don't put nothing past the man. I don't put nothing, all men cheat. All women, and so he or she gonna do whatever. I already know, so I'm just, I'm not worried about it. I have yet to meet a person. If you know somebody, please tell them call me. I have yet to meet a person where the person actually cheats, and they're like, well, I knew they were gonna do it anyway, so I'm good.
Right.
Like it hurts.
Never happens.
It hurts the same.
Yeah.
The only difference is you water down the entire relationship.
Right.
And all of your experiences. So I think those are defense mechanisms that we put in place to try to protect ourselves. But the reality is, being in a relationship, loving, caring for someone makes you vulnerable. Being vulnerable means you at risk of being hurt. which is where boundaries come in, where it's just like, okay, let me give myself the chance to know this relationship in this society where kids are on Instagram and social media, swipe left, swipe right, and not really giving them themselves the chance to get to know. Give yourself the chance to get to know the person so that you can deem kind of how close, if they're your cup of tea, is this something that you want to continuously give personal information about.
Well, see, the thing is, I know nowadays, back in the day when I first started, there was no social media or phones or anything. You had to meet in person, and you had to get to know each other that way. Nowadays, you're on the phone, you text every day for a month, and then you just never get together. And you're like, then you get together, and all of a sudden you can't talk. But you talk every day.
Social media has really caused a lot of social anxiety because a lot of people don't know how to socialize or communicate. Because they're so used to doing it via text. And you can be who you want to be via text. You tell me something, I have 15 minutes to think about how I'm going to respond, and then I can I can call a girlfriend, hey, how does this sound? All right, I'm going to send it to you. All right, you changed it, all right. And then I said, whereas I'm in person, right? I have to actually engage and watch my facial expression. So it is causing a lot of awkwardness in relationships.
Body language. I can't hide nothing on my face. I mean, it just all comes out in my face. And I'm like, okay, folks, and that's a good thing in some ways because people usually know how I feel when I'm very expressive. But I know for some people I had a fight with somebody. Well, I should say a fight, it was disagreement because he didn't understand the tone of my text. And I said to that person, you can't always tell tone in message, text, or email. You have to talk in person or on the phone sometimes to get the full message.
Understanding, yeah.
Thank you, understanding.
Yeah, because then you're taking it a totally different way.
Yes.
Taking it out of context.
Right, because he read something the wrong way. I'm like, that's not the way I meant it. I meant this. Oh, okay. When he read it a second way, he's like, oh, okay, got it.
Right.
Like, well, but then I guess you're coming into you're bringing your own stuff into that message. You're like, so you read it, you go, that person said this to me, and like, well, no, that's not the way. It could be read that way, I guess, if you brought.
And don't already be upset. You didn't skip words, skip text messages, everything. And the person like, go back and read it. It's just like, oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
They got it.
Right.
So, I mean, as we wind down, I just want my question to you is to see if she can tell us if it's true or not. Healthy love is possible, right?
Absolutely.
It is.
Healthy love is possible if you're willing to grow and understand and learn what that is if you haven't been taught that, right? But it's definitely possible. Healthy love is communication. Healthy love is honesty. I can go back to communication. That sounds so crazy. You got to communicate.
But you have to.
But it's, even the stuff, but it's also being willing to take accountability for the things that may be hard to look at. I think that's what makes relationships beautiful. When even if it's after the fact, being able to say, okay, that was me. That was me.
Yeah.
Because there's always room for repair. But you have people who never acknowledge and they go buy flowers or they go do something nice and that's their way of,
Right. We're fine. We're fine now. Right.
And you never really talk about what the issues are and just understanding yourself. Even if you're not at a place to communicate, take the time to get to know yourself. Get to know, all of us, how you grew up in your household, how I grew up in my household, what was okay between my parents may not be okay between yours, and really being able to decipher, okay, how was anger shown in my household? How was love shown in my household? How did I know when my parents was mad? I have people who never saw their parents argue. So they get with someone, it's like, what the heck is going on here? Because their parents always did it behind closed doors. Yes. Calling each other out of your name, was that something that was normal in your household? And then you get with someone who it's a deal breaker. So really understanding, when your parents were mad at each other, did they know each other for 3 days? Did they kiss and make up? Did dad leave and not come for a week and then mom had someone coming over? What was, all of these things, even with cheating. I have people friends even, whose parents would take them to the mistress or so house when they was little, thinking that they didn't understand, and you're setting that expectation, okay, this is what happens in a marriage. It's okay to cheat. So the beautiful thing is no matter what the relationship was in your household growing up or what you did or didn't see, if you grew up in foster care and you never saw it, is you get to decide how you want your relationship to look. But it's going to start with you really taking the time to get to know maybe what are some of the emotional wounds that you haven't had the time to really sift through. So, but you have that choice. You can make your relationship as healthy. You can change the whole environment for your family. You get to break generational curses, which is why I love therapy so much. Break generational curses and things. So.
I love you.
Oh. Love you too.
You're the best. And you'll see more of her on here. She'll be back here again, trust me. So we follow each other all the time. She'll be on here again. We can talk all kinds of studies, but thanks for sharing all this with us. Because I think I got some takeaways myself that I'm going to take with me in my relationships myself. So I learned something new. The learning that education never stops. Yes. It never stops as long as you're alive.
Being open to learn.
As long as you're alive.
Yeah.
It never ends. Tell me where they can find you in your practice and everything.
Okay, so you can find information about myself if you go to eccts.com. That's my practice in San Pedro. So www.eccts.com. Or if you just wanted more information about me and everything, you can go to MiyumeMcKinley.com. It's MIYUME McKinley. That's MCKINLEY.com, and all the information about me is there. Or follow me on social media.
And I'll post some of our stuff on our page too, of course. And we're here every Monday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at ThaAfterpartyRadio.com. We're always here. I have great guests coming up this month. I have some really good guests coming up this month, especially. And you can follow us on Extra Connections Show on Facebook. The page is there. More information on her is on there. Information about other guests are on there. And also sign up and follow us on YouTube. Follow us on iTunes, Speaker.com, iHeartRadio under Connections. The Afterparty Radio is on everything. So follow them everywhere. They're on Facebook. They're on Twitter. They're on Instagram. The THA Afterparty. Follow them there. And my girl Brittany, thank you very much for doing the engineering. And you guys go out there and connect this week. Connect. Happy 4th of July, and I'll see you next week.